Tonight, Jeffrey Epstein co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell meets with the DOJ. As the White House struggles to navigate the rising pressure to release the Epstein records, a senior Department of Justice official sits down with Maxwell for 6 hours at a Tallahassee courthouse near the federal prison where she's serving her 20-year sentence for sex trafficking.
I'm Aaron Katersky outside the federal courthouse in Tallahassee. I'll tell you what the Justice Department hoped to get from today's meeting and what Ghislaine Maxwell's attorney told me about how it went.
Plus, we talked to a woman who says she was abused by Maxwell and Epstein, one of the only victims to have the opportunity to confront him in court. The death of a wrestling legend and American icon, Hulk Hogan, dead at 71 following cardiac arrest, helping to transform professional wrestling into a multi-billion-dollar global business, finding a new audience with his reality show. He was one of the most recognizable faces in the world. And tonight, the tributes are pouring in. President Trump tours the Federal Reserve, seeing firsthand its $2.5 billion renovation after repeatedly threatening to fire Chairman Jerome Powell for not lowering interest rates. Our Mary Bruce reports from the White House. They've graduated from the Air Force Academy, passed all physical tests for service, but now the current administration says they are not fit to serve. In tonight's Prime Focus, we take a look at transgender service members and meet a recent graduate of the Air Force Academy left in limbo after the ban on trans people in the military.
I and thousands of others deserve the right to serve in the military. There's nothing that says we can't perform our duties, that we're less than just because of our gender identity.
And the always irrepressible Judge Judy, one of the most popular judges on television for almost 30 years, now back with a new series, allowing viewers to decide for themselves if justice was properly served. I talked to her about her new project, the increased threats against judges, and what might have been. Is there a road not taken for Judge Judy? Had you not ever donned the black robe, is there some other dream you had?
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is Prime with Linsey Davis.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Linsey Davis. Thank you so much for streaming with us. We begin with the Trump administration and the uproar over the Jeffrey Epstein files and a rare visit of the Justice Department's second in command, the former personal lawyer of Donald Trump, to meet with Epstein's associate and one-time companion, Ghislaine Maxwell, in Florida. Maxwell is currently serving a 20-year sentence for sex trafficking Epstein's victims and other crimes. She is appealing her sentence. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche arrived today at the U.S. Attorney's office in Tallahassee. It comes 24 hours after a report claiming that Attorney General Pam Bondi told President Trump his name is in the Epstein files and recommended not releasing any more of them. The president reportedly deferred to her decision. But tonight, a growing number of Republicans are calling for the Justice Department to release all the files. We'll be joined in a moment by Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell accuser Annie Farmer. She's one of the only women to ever face Epstein in court. But first, our chief investigative correspondent Aaron Katersky leads us off from Tallahassee tonight with late reporting about Maxwell's meeting with the DOJ.
Tonight, as the White House struggles to contain the uproar over the Jeffrey Epstein investigation, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche traveling to Tallahassee to meet with Epstein's one-time companion, Ghislaine Maxwell, who's serving a 20-year prison sentence for sex trafficking Epstein's victims.
Do you have anything to say today?
The meeting with the convicted sex offender, a highly unusual move by the Deputy Attorney General, who until recently was President Trump's personal lawyer. Blanche has said he wanted to ask Maxwell if she has, quote, information about anyone who has committed crimes against victims. For her part, Epstein's enabler wants to get out of prison. Her lawyer's arriving today.
We're looking forward to a productive day.
Maxwell has faced questions for more than a decade.
I'll ask you about all the allegations that have come out, Ghislaine.
Happy New Year.
Maxwell and Epstein both socialized with Trump, and when she was arrested in 2020, the president said he wished her well.
Mr. President, Ghislaine Maxwell has been arrested on allegations of child sex trafficking. Why would you wish such a person well?
I don't know that, but I do know that
she has. She's been arrested for that.
Her friend or boyfriend,
Epstein,
was either killed or committed suicide in jail. She's now in jail. Yeah, I wish her well. I'd wish you well. I'd wish a lot of people well. Good luck.
At her sentencing, the judge said Maxwell was instrumental in the abuse of several underage girls by Epstein, adding she herself participated in some of the abuse. Today, she met behind closed doors with the Deputy Attorney General for more than 6 hours.
Well, she answered all the questions and answered them honestly. There were a lot of questions, and we went all day. And she answered every one of them. She never just said, I'm not going to answer, never declined.
Maxwell has also been subpoenaed by the Republican-led House Oversight Committee, though some wonder why she should be trusted.
Is she a credible witness? I mean, this is a person who's been sentenced to many, many years in prison for terrible, unspeakable conspiratorial acts and acts against innocent young people. I mean, can we trust what she's going to say?
It comes as the Wall Street Journal reports that back in May, Attorney General Pam Bondi told the president his name was mentioned multiple times in the files, along with other high-profile people. Days before the article was published, ABC's Catherine Falders asking Trump,
did she tell you at all that your name appeared in the file?
No, she's given us just a very quick briefing. And in terms of the credibility of the different things that they've seen.
The Journal notes being named in the files is not evidence of wrongdoing. When Epstein was arrested in 2019, Trump said they had a falling out and had not spoken in 15 years. Today, as the Deputy Attorney General met with Epstein's accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, some Senate Republicans demanding the Justice Department release the full Epstein files.
I want all the information out.
Just put everything out, make it as transparent as you can.
Release the damn files.
A number of Republicans on the same page there. And Aaron joins us now. Aaron, give us a sense of what we're learning about Ghislaine's meeting with the DOJ.
Linsey, sources are telling ABC News tonight that it was Ghislaine Maxwell who asked for the meeting with the Deputy Attorney General, initiated the contact. Now, it's not clear still what questions Todd Blanche might have asked her or what responses Maxwell may have given. But remember, Linsey, her ultimate goal is to appeal her conviction and get out of prison. Linsey?
Aaron Katersky for us. Thanks so much, Aaron. Jeffrey Epstein is estimated to have abused a large number of girls. The Epstein Victims Compensation Fund paid out more than $120 million to 136 survivors. Another 52 women filed and privately settled claims. Joining us now for more is Annie Farmer, who has said that she was lured by Maxwell and Epstein and sexually abused at his New Mexico ranch when she was just 16 years old. She was one of Epstein's only victims to have had the opportunity to confront him at his detention hearing back in 2019. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We so appreciate your time. I know you've said in the past that attending that 2019 hearing was the beginning of a big spiraling ride and that you feel like you haven't gotten off. What's it been like after all this time to once again be reminded on the daily of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell?
It's been, it was unexpected this time for sure. And it has been pretty exhausting to be back on this roller coaster.
You've said that Epstein encouraged you to join him at his New Mexico ranch for an outing for other high-achieving students. But when you got there, it was just you with Epstein and Maxwell at his ranch. Tell us about Ghislaine Maxwell and your encounters with her.
She was initially very charming, I think really working to put me at ease, asking me questions about myself, about my life as a high school student. I found her to be someone that I wanted to like me. So, I was really trying to impress her in the way that you can as a teenager, right? Tell her things I thought would be interesting to her. And then, of course, over the course of my time, her behavior, towards me changed. And it became clear that, she was interested in grooming me towards, providing these massages for Epstein and then actually abusing me herself.
You said that her behavior changed. In what way? Was it like she was this upbeat, bubbly person and all of a sudden things got very dark?
It wasn't quite that. I'd say that there was always this facade in a way that, that what was happening was very normal. But when, at the end of the weekend, when I, was getting ready to leave, she was suddenly much more cold and, did not seem interested. And I felt in some way that I had disappointed her. I had not done what was expected of me.
And she is one of the people you say put you through all this horror that has now cast this shadow over your life. Today, as you know, she met with the number 2 person at DOJ. What's your reaction to all this?
Yeah, I actually found out that information earlier today from a journalist. It's very disappointing that these things are happening behind closed doors without any input from the people that the government asked to come forward and speak against her in order to put her away. We there were so many young girls and women that were harmed by her. And I think not just, she didn't just procure girls and women for Epstein, but she herself participated in their abuse. I think that's an important thing for people to understand. And then she also, made threats. She made threats to my sister, to our family, when it was clear that my sister had reported her. And so I think that to be told that suddenly she's being brought to the table as a potential source of information when she's previously been charged with perjury by the government is very confusing and unsettling.
And pardon me for prying here, and if you don't want to go there, you don't have to, but when you say she participated in the abuse, can you help us to understand, was she not just there to lure and kind of groom?
Yes, I think that's something that is really, really important for people to understand. She herself, she was the one who asked me to undress. She was the one who exposed my chest. She's the one who touched me. And I think that that was not unusual. I mean, that was something that came out in her trial and one of the things that she was found guilty of. The Department of Justice is clear on that she herself is a sexual predator who has participated in this abuse. She's not a victim.
We don't know ultimately what will happen if she will testify, what kind of deals will be made to get her testimony before Congress. If, and this is a big if, but if she is able to get out of prison as a result of giving her testimony, your reaction to that?
Well, that would be devastating, not just for me. It would be devastating for so many people involved in this case. This was the one person who had been prosecuted for their crimes. And I know that it meant a lot to even other people outside of this case, because I heard from so many people that the fact that someone was held accountable was really significant.
Attorney General Bondi promised that there would be full transparency, and the only thing that would be kept from the public would be the things that protect the identity of the victims. Now it's not clear what else will be released, if anything. Do you feel like those files should be seen by the public?
I certainly think that there's more information that should be released to the public.
Your sister Maria was the first person actually to report Epstein and Maxwell to law enforcement back in the 90s. She has spoken about the time she allegedly met Donald Trump in Epstein's office. Now, the White House does deny this, saying the president was never in Epstein's office. Maria has never accused Donald Trump of any wrongdoing.
Right.
What do you remember about what your sister has shared with you about the time that she met Donald Trump?
Yeah, that was something that was just common knowledge in our family because she had shared it at the time. And it was something that, of course, came up again with Donald Trump becoming more prominent.
Just on an emotional level, how are you feeling about all of this political debate for something that really impacted your family, your sister, in a very personal way?
It's somewhat surreal to see something play out on this world stage that is so personal. But I also think it's really important that we don't overly politicize this. There are political figures that are involved, and because of that, it is being used for political purposes right now. But I think that ultimately, the reason that so many people care about this case is because it's something that so many people can relate to, which is the abuse of power, people with more privilege, more power, taking advantage of those that don't have it.
Annie Farmer, we thank you so much for taking the time and revisiting what I know was a painful period in your life that has become very public. So we thank you for talking with us tonight.
Thank you for taking the time.
And we just learned that Deputy AG Blanche will meet with Maxwell once again tomorrow. Turning now to the death of Hulk Hogan, tributes are pouring in tonight. The charismatic superstar rocketed to fame in the 80s, transforming the industry. His larger-than-life personality made him a household name and a crossover mainstream star. He appeared in movies including Rocky III and became recognized around the world. Hogan died at 71 years old after suffering cardiac arrest at his home in Florida. We'll talk with fellow wrestler and friend Glenn Kane Jacobs in a moment, but first, here's Whit Johnson.
He was an American sports and entertainment icon.
Hulk Hogan now stands up with a Sheik and Ramsey.
Hulk Hogan with that signature horseshoe mustache, bleach blonde hair, and bandana.
Hulk Hogan, he drops a big leg on him.
Helping to transform professional wrestling into a multi-billion-dollar global phenomenon. Hulk Hogan was born Terry Bollea, discovered at a gym in Tampa. At 6'7", 320 pounds, he'd take the name Hulk from the Incredible Hulk, joining the famed World Wrestling Federation in 1983, and facing the greats from Andre the Giant to The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. Hogan, responding to the question he was so often asked, is wrestling fake?
Fake implies that the punches don't hurt and you never get injured, and the people that have given up their bodies and actually their personal lives and everything, it's fake, and it's not. It's real as it gets.
Later starring in movies like Rocky III alongside Sylvester Stallone. In recent years, adding his celebrity to politics, endorsing then-candidate Donald Trump at the 2024 Republican National Convention.
Let Trumpomania rule again! Let Trumpomania make America great again!
But his life outside the ring at times seemed more challenging than inside. He admitted to steroid use. He was heard using a racial slur in audio secretly recorded, later sitting down with ABC asking the public for forgiveness.
I never should have said what I said. It was wrong. I'm embarrassed by it. But a lot of people need to realize that you inherit things from your environment. And where I grew up was South Tampa, Port Tampa, and it was a really rough neighborhood, very low income. And all my friends, we greeted each other saying that word. We teased each other with that word. The word was just thrown around like it was nothing. But you can break the cycle. And that's what everybody needs to know. You can break this cycle and become a better person, become who you're meant to be instead of who you're supposed to be. If everybody at their lowest point was judged on one thing they said, it'd be a sad world. People get better every day. People get better.
Hulk Hogan died this morning after suffering cardiac arrest in his Clearwater, Florida home at the age of 71.
The image that you want to relate to other people can be either a positive or a negative one. For me, I would like to go from the positive aspect of trying to tell people to clean up their act and do the right type of things.
And Linsey, tonight the tributes are pouring in. Sylvester Stallone writing online, "My heart breaks." And President Donald Trump calling Hulk Hogan strong, tough, smart, but with the biggest heart. Linsey?
Whit, thank you. For more now, we're joined by former WWE wrestler Glenn Kane Jacobs. He's now the mayor of Knox County, Tennessee. Mayor Jacobs, thank you so much for joining us. Of course, you knew Hulk Hogan personally. What are some of your fond memories of him?
One of my most fond memories was the first time I ever saw him in person. I was not actually in the ring. It was before I got into wrestling. I was at a WWE show in St. Louis, Missouri at the Checker Dome. And when Hulk Hogan came out, he was in the main event, the roof just blew off the place. And that's when I decided, man, I would really like to be a professional wrestler, because be at the center of all that energy and everything was just amazing to me. Hulk Hogan was just the most charismatic superstar of all time. It transcended professional wrestling, obviously, and was a pop culture icon and an entertainment legend as well.
As a wrestler who came up in the WWE circuit on Hogan's heels, what do you think his legacy might be?
Well, for me, he really took WWE to the next level and made it what it is today. So for someone like me, that opened up a lot of opportunities. So I think that virtually every person around my age, a little younger, a little older, Hulk Hogan was professional wrestling and always will be.
As Whit reported, he faced a number of challenges outside of the ring: steroid use, lawsuits, difficulties in his family life. How did he manage to keep the things together during those tough times?
Well, everybody goes through things like that. I remember seeing Hogan backstage, and he would just be a normal guy, soft-spoken, and then all of a sudden he would just slip into character and just turn it on, and it was all seamless. So I think that ability to really separate what might be going on in your personal life from your professional life, or someone of that caliber, of that magnitude, really is one of the secrets to success.
Way back in 1987, when he was in his 30s, Hogan told the Chicago Sun-Times, "I'm not worried about when I'm gone. I know I'll be floating on a cloud somewhere, but I tried to have a positive theme, and I hope it can last for generations to come." While his life, like many of ours, it wasn't always easy, but do you think he managed to do that by and large, stay positive?
Absolutely. WWE is an escape for so many people. It brings people joy and happiness. And Hulk Hogan did that better than anybody. So, yes, I think that he very much accomplished that.
Mayor and WWE wrestler Glenn Kane Jacobs, we thank you so much for sharing your memories.
Thank you.
Now to the extraordinary moment at the Federal Reserve Building today. President Trump visiting Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell, ostensibly pressuring him to bring interest rates down, all while cameras were rolling. Here's our chief White House correspondent, Mary Bruce.
Tonight, an extraordinary scene at the Federal Reserve as President Trump ramps up his effort to pressure Fed Chair Jerome Powell to lower interest rates. Trump making a rare visit to the Fed to challenge Powell on the building's multi-billion-dollar renovation. With cameras rolling, Trump pulling out a sheet of paper, trying to surprise the Fed chair with a new price tag for the project. But Powell telling the president that number factors in construction that was completed 5 years ago.
It looks like it's about $3.1 billion. It went up a little bit, or a lot. So the 2.7 is now 3.1.
I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, it just came out.
Yeah, I haven't heard that from anybody at the Fed.
Yeah, it just came out.
Our notes had it about 3.1 as well.
3.1,
3.2. This came from us?
Yes. I don't know who does that.
Now, you're including the Martin renovation. You just added
our entire capital.
Yeah, you just added in a third building is what that is. That's a third building.
Well, no, but it's a building that's being built.
No, it was built 5 years ago. We finished Martin 5 years ago.
It's part of the overall work.
But it's not new.
So we're going to take a look.
But reporters then asking,
as a real estate developer, what would you do with a project manager who would be over budget?
Generally speaking, what would I do? I'd fire him.
Trump making it clear what he's really after.
Are there things the chairman can say to you today that would make you back off some of the earlier criticism?
Well, I'd love him to lower interest rates. But other than that, what can I tell you?
Our thanks to Mary Bruce. Next tonight, the alarming attacks on police. One officer shot in the face just outside New York City, and the disturbing attack on officers in Ohio, where one has now died. Here's our Chief Justice correspondent, Pierre Thomas.
On New York's Long Island this morning, a Suffolk County police officer was shot in the face while investigating the discovery of a dead body. The suspect, 48-year-old Neves Reyes, is accused of killing the other man who was found in the brush. When police tried executing a search warrant, they say Reyes fired multiple shots from inside the home, hitting the officer who is expected to recover. The incident comes after 3 officers were shot in Lorain, Ohio Wednesday, ambushed with a barrage of gunfire while they were simply trying to have lunch.
We are shots fired. There's no extension. And everybody.
Officers Philip Wagner and Peter Gale were in separate cruisers parked on a dead-end street, eating pizza, when the suspect opened fire with a high-powered rifle. Officer Wagner later dying of his injuries.
He was laying in wait.
Responding law enforcement met with a hail of gunfire. A third officer, Brett Payne, also shot. And the suspect, identified as 28-year-old Michael Joseph Parker, killed at the scene. Video showing 2 rifles amid the contents of the suspect's silver sedan. Police say they also found handguns, loaded magazines, and a significant quantity of homemade explosives inside. Residents stunned.
It's crazy. It's a dangerous world we live in.
Our thanks to Pierre Thomas. More than 140 million Americans are on alert for extreme and dangerous heat tonight, from Texas to New York to Maine. New York City tomorrow will feel like 105 degrees. The city is already issuing an air quality alert. In Chicago, under a hazy sky, the heat index is 101 degrees. Take a look at this stretch of Jefferson Highway in Baton Rouge, buckled in the heat, and it's raising the risk of severe storms. We're seeing flash flooding in New Mexico. Lee Goldberg, chief meteorologist for our New York station WABC, is tracking it all for us. Hi, Lee.
Hi, Lindsay. Oppressive air, in fact, on the way to New York City tomorrow to be blistering during the afternoon hours. It'll spark storms as well. But for tonight, the core of the heat is still from the Mid-South to the Great Lakes. We've got triple-digit readings from Shreveport all the way to Detroit. Notice how you see cooler temperatures or feel-like readings in Chicago. That's because of some big thunderstorms. The worst is east, but we do have a severe thunderstorm watch. Peoria all the way to Grand Rapids, some storms. We've had numerous storm reports south of Chicago, south of Aurora as well. And then you see the slow-moving drenches near Kansas City, still concerned about flash flooding from Wichita all the way over to Kirksville, also over parts of northeastern New Mexico as well. While that heat is expanding eastward, it's up and down the East Coast tomorrow. No one excluded. 105 Savannah and Wilmington. It'll feel like 105 to 110 from New York down to D.C. Even Boston will feel like the century mark. And unfortunately, that same front that's over Chicago is headed to the I-95 corridor. So we're looking at storms that could target the evening commute. Scattered storms with damaging winds, frequent lightning, and even some heavy downpours that could cause some flash flooding. That will bring a little relief to the Northeast over the weekend before a potential heat wave again next week. The South gets no relief. Lindsay?
No one gets out of this unscathed. All right, Lee Goldberg, our thanks to you. The Federal Communications Commission a short time ago approved Skydance's $8 billion acquisition of Paramount CBS. The deal clears the way for the sale of prominent brands in entertainment, including the CBS television network, Paramount Pictures, and the Nickelodeon cable channel. The FCC also agreed to transfer to Skydance the broadcast licenses for the 28 owned and operated CBS television stations. Grammy Award-winning jazz musician Chuck Mangione has died. Mangione was known for his talents on the flugelhorn. It was the 1978 hit Feels So Good that made him a household name. More than 2 million copies of the song were sold. His death was confirmed by his family in a statement, but they did not specify a cause. Chuck Mangione was 84. Coming up in our Prime Focus, they've dreamed of serving in the Air Force, but after graduating from the Air Force Academy and passing the physical test for service, the Trump administration says they cannot serve. Our Maggie Ruley has their story.
After the recent Supreme Court decision, where does that dream stand?
I still want to do it. If a decision came down today that, I could join the Air Force, I would take that in a heartbeat.
And later, why lawyers for NBA star LeBron James are putting the creators of an AI tool on notice. Welcome back, everyone. For our Prime Focus tonight, we have the unique opportunity to meet a transgender service member affected by President Trump's executive order that bans such people from serving in the military. Our Maggie Ruley sits down with Hunter Marquez, a recent graduate of the Air Force Academy, who began their transition at the end of freshman year, satisfying all requirements since President Biden repealed Trump's first transgender ban. But now in 2025, Hunter finds they're in limbo. They and many others prevented once again from serving their country.
Class of 2025, dismiss!
Hunter Marquez had been dreaming of this moment since middle school. The moment they would graduate as a second lieutenant in the Air Force.
I grew up with a family that just loved this country, and I found my calling with the military.
Hunter Taylor Marquez.
After 4 years of training at the Air Force Academy in Colorado, Hunter was selected to become a combat systems officer. But an executive order banning transgender service members would put that dream on hold.
Because at the end, when we all got to throw our hats in the air and everyone got to put on their second lieutenant shoulder boards, and I had to keep my cadet ones on because I would not be a second lieutenant. So it was very disheartening because I knew, all of my friends, all of the people I'd known these past 4 years have a guaranteed job. And now I'm just here with no idea what I'm going to do next.
If you knew what you had to go through, would you still have made the choice to transition?
100%.
Yeah.
Yes. I wouldn't change anything about what I've done these past 4 years because at the end of the day, these people that I've met here, the officers and the faculty, they've changed my life for the better.
The Pentagon estimates more than 4,200, or about 1 in 500, active Guard and Reserve service members are diagnosed by military doctors with gender dysphoria, which is the military's metric for tracking the number of transgender troops. Advocacy groups have put the actual number of trans service members in those units much higher, at around 15,000 out of the 2.1 million. 3 months before Hunter was set to graduate, President Trump signed Executive Order 14183.
To ensure that we have the most lethal fighting force in the world, we will get transgender ideology the hell out of our military. It's going to be gone.
The executive order stated that expressing a false gender identity divergent from an individual's sex cannot satisfy the rigorous standards necessary for military service. The order further argued that receiving gender-affirming medical care is one of the conditions that is physically and mentally incompatible with active duty. That meant Hunter, who had transitioned a few years ago, could no longer go into military service when they graduated. Hunter's dream now caught up in a political firestorm.
What assessment did the Department of Defense conduct prior to implementation to evaluate the impact that this policy would have on our national security?
We did extensive analysis, Senator, and we agree with the assessment of the executive order that was issued by the White House that there are mental health issues associated with gender dysphoria that complicate military service and readiness, and as a result, we made the decision.
Trans people have a history of contention in the military. Until 2016, people who were transgender could be dismissed because of their gender identity. President Obama changed that policy, allowing trans service members to openly serve. Trump repealed this policy in 2018, meaning once again trans soldiers were banned. Then President Biden repealed this in 2021. Trump then reinstated the ban this year.
There's never been any evidence found that gay or transgender service members present any problems to unit cohesion or readiness, and that the evidence finds the opposite, that the prohibitions against trans people are what harm readiness and cohesion because they undermine trust.
Are there already checks and balances in place within the military to make sure people are mentally and physically well to serve?
Yeah, that's an important point. The military screens their personnel at all levels, upon session or commission, recruitment, and then for retention purposes, deployment to combat zones.
Hunter began transitioning at the end of their freshman year at the Air Force Academy. They would now have to complete the more demanding male physical fitness test.
And did you pass everything, all the physical exams, all the tests, everything?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes I did. I remember talking to my commander about it because I was nervous, but I got a better score than I expected. And I remember going to his office and I was like, "Sir, you wouldn't guess what happened. This is my score." And he celebrated with me.
Hunter tells us they followed all the rules that were in effect at the time in order to graduate, only to have those rules change in February when the Department of Defense released a memo stating that they would begin discharging trans service members.
Do you remember the moment you found out?
Yeah, I was in my room hanging out with a friend, and I was looking at the court cases that had been coming down, and I refreshed the page and the official memo was posted, and I broke down crying because I couldn't believe that I'd made it up to this point just to lose it.
Almost immediately, there were legal challenges. In March, a federal court blocked the ban. Then in May, the Supreme Court overruled and said the ban could remain in place while lawsuits made their way through the lower courts. Hunter signed their name onto one of those lawsuits.
I just saw that as my only option because I and thousands of others deserve the right to serve in the military. There's nothing that says we can't perform our duties, that we're less than just because of our gender identity. And I didn't want this to be happening to anybody else. And so it just felt like my only option. I had to fight this, not for myself, but for the thousands of others and for the thousands to come.
Supporters of the ban say the logistics of incorporating trans service members in a safe and effective way will be too difficult and expensive, and their medical care will make them unfit to serve. What type of medical care does the military provide in general and for other people that have medical issues?
Well, the military has a storied healthcare system of its own. The RAND Corporation did a study on this and found that it would be just a smattering of people who are likely to use the more expensive healthcare required, and that the overall impact on the military's healthcare budget would be an increase of 0.1% of the military healthcare budget.
For Hunter, the debate has curtailed their once certain future. A normal post-grad trip around Europe has turned into a soul-searching moment.
But I'm curious, I think if someone says, well, we just don't want someone to go public with their preferred gender identity, can't they just serve without making it a deal? What would you say to that?
I would say the reason why you lead is because of the people. And that's something we say a lot in the military. Mission first, people always. And how can you be expected to lead a mission if you don't know your people?
Although their dream is deferred, they tell us their calling is still with the military.
And after the recent Supreme Court decision, where does that dream stand?
I still want to do it. If a decision came down today that, I could join the Air Force, I would take that in a heartbeat. I'd drop everything here in Europe and go. But, I mean, in the end, the dream is always to be in the military.
A dream deferred, at least for now. Our thanks to Maggie for that. Coming up, a sex tape and declarations of being racist would eventually tarnish Hulk Hogan's reputation. But just how popular was he during his WrestleMania era? We take a look by the numbers. And you've been hitting your goal of 10,000 steps a day, which is certainly not bad for you, but might fewer steps also lead you toward better health outcomes? Stay with us. Welcome back, everyone. We continue to look back on the life of wrestling and pop culture megastar Hulk Hogan tonight with a look at the wrestling giant by the numbers. A literal giant. At his peak, Hogan was 6'7", 302 pounds. He reveled in that physical dominance, calling his biceps 24-inch pythons. Hogan rose to superstardom in the 1980s as the face of Vince McMahon's expanding World Wrestling Federation. He headlined 8 of the first 9 editions and went on to become a 5-time WWF champion. His 1,474-day reign is the longest of the WrestleMania era. His legendary match with Andre the Giant drew 33 million viewers, still the highest ever ratings for a wrestling event. In the 90s, he became the first to win consecutive Royal Rumble matches. He was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame twice as both a single competitor and as a member of the New World Order. Beyond the ring, Hogan built a career as an actor with dozens of movies and TV credits, including his hit VH1 reality show Hogan Knows Best, introducing him to audiences far beyond the wrestling ring. Still ahead, the heroic rescue after a sailing lesson went terribly wrong, and she's been a popular TV judge for nearly 30 years. She's not showing any signs of slowing down yet. We're talking with Judge Judy about her new show. The heroic rescue after a sailing lesson went very wrong. Good news for anyone counting their steps for better health, and the recall you'll want to check before you turn on that garden hose. These stories and more in tonight's rundown. The creators of an AI tool and Discord community that allowed people to create AI videos of NBA stars says that it received a cease and desist letter from lawyers representing LeBron James. Some of those videos had racked up millions of views on social media, including videos showing a basketball player pregnant and others showing the player in compromising situations. This marks one of the first known instances of a high-profile celebrity threatening legal action against an AI company for enabling the creation of non-consensual AI imagery of their likeness. A sailing lesson on the New Jersey shore went terribly wrong when the boat's engine died and heavy winds and swift current pushed it toward the rocks. 10 people jumped into the water. Lifeguards on the beach saw the boat was in trouble and jumped into action, saving lives.
Some of those lifeguards that were down there today were above and beyond, and there were definitely heroes down there.
No injuries were reported. A new study found that walking 7,000 steps per day led to meaningful improvements in health outcomes, suggesting people may not need to reach the often cited 10,000 steps per day benchmark compared with those who walk 2,000 steps a day. The study found that 7,000 steps was linked to reduced risk of cardiovascular disease, cancer, dementia, and depression. For those already reaching 10,000 steps daily, researchers encourage continuing that habit.
60,000 fans came to see me do my dance.
Just hours before Grammy-nominated rapper Glorilla was performing TGIF at the WNBA All-Star Game in Indianapolis, police say she was in custody in Georgia on drug charges. The arrest was prompted after police responded to a reported burglary at her home in Georgia. Investigators said that 3 people were allegedly robbing the home. The suspects got away, but deputies reported smelling marijuana and later returned with a search warrant where they found a significant amount of the drug inside the home. Glorilla was released on a $22,000 bond in time to make the show. The investigation into the burglary remains active. Summertime garden hose drinkers, beware. Millions of expandable Hydrotech branded burst-proof hoses are being recalled because they do in fact burst while being used. At least 29 people have been injured, including some with temporarily impaired hearing. Consumers in possession of the recalled hoses are urged to stop using them immediately. Grammy Award-winning rapper Cardi B is being sued for assault and battery after she allegedly struck a woman with a microphone during her performance in Las Vegas 2 years ago. The woman, identified as Jane Doe, claims in the lawsuit that the rapper had asked the audience to throw water at her to help her cool off. The woman says she joined other audience members in throwing a small amount of water on Cardi, and then Cardi chucked the mic at her. Cardi B has said that she asked the crowd to splash her and that the woman threw a full cup of water at her. The rapper was not charged when the incident occurred. She's been one of the most popular judges on television for almost 30 years. Now Judge Judy Sheindlin is back with a new series, but this time she's looking back. In Justice on Trial, 8 landmark cases are recreated with Sheindlin on the bench, allowing viewers to decide for themselves whether they believe justice was properly served. Let's take a look.
We're taking landmark criminal cases and recreating them using our own trial lawyers.
Do you have to always tell the truth to a suspect to get them to volunteer a statement? No.
And yours truly is the judge. I control this courtroom. Do you want to make a speech? Go outside.
I had a chance to sit down with Judge Judy to discuss the series, the increased threats against judges, and the road not taken for her. And we are so excited to have Judge Judy with us tonight. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So you have said judges are people too. They make mistakes. Give us a sense of what Justice on Trial, as far as looking back at cases, what it means for viewers.
Well, let me give you an example of the case that celebrates its 100th anniversary this year. Tennessee versus Scopes was about a teacher who decided to teach his students the theory, Darwin's theory of evolution. And in the state of Tennessee at that time, they had a law that prohibited the teaching of anything other than creationism in schools.
In this state, the state of Tennessee, the only thing that may be taught as to the origin of man has to come from the Bible.
We still today are fighting over what we can and should teach our children in school. Who's in charge of making that decision?
Do you want government to dictate what your kids can learn in the classroom?
What I'm hoping is, by looking at these seminal cases that form the basis of our justice system, people will have a little bit more of an understanding of, yes, judges get it wrong sometimes. Sometimes police get it wrong. Sometimes a prosecutor gets it wrong. Sometimes because of a mistake by a police officer or a prosecutor, a guilty person goes free. Is that just? Is it reasonable? These are things that we will explore.
How did you go about choosing these 8 cases?
Well, I like to think there was a little bit of a committee. We wanted a smattering of both civil and criminal cases. We wanted them to somehow be connected, even old ones, to what's going on in our country today.
You mentioned one of the cases. Let's talk about the case of the diplomat who was accused of child abuse and why you felt that was so significant.
Well, it was significant for me because I did have a hand in that case. Terrence Karumba is a 9-year-old boy who has allegedly been abused by his father, who happens to be a diplomat from the country of Zimbabwe. My ruling in that case, as a family court judge, you really had to massage the law a little bit to keep and protect that child by not turning him over immediately to his father. He really abused that child, physically abused that child. And when the government of Zimbabwe said, we want these people returned, the city said, we want to keep him. What's just? Is what happened fair? When you follow the law, sometimes you place someone at risk.
You've been doing this for decades at this point, not only just in a courtroom without the cameras, but then also with Judge Judy. How did you feel about this project? Did it feel exciting? Is it scary to do something
A little
new?
bit scary because it took me out of my comfort zone. My comfort zone is sitting and talking to you or hearing cases and with certainly no script. But I think that if you're smart, you always try to reinvent yourself, keep yourself current.
Don't retire, reinvent.
Don't retire, rewire.
Rewire. Oh, I like that even better.
Don't retire, rewire.
I'm curious in this current climate that we find ourselves in, whether it's politicians who may not like the ruling of a judge who say, oh, they should lose their job, they should be impeached, or more recently, this ratcheting up of threats and crime against judges. Your reaction?
I don't know when the anger and vitriol started. It seems as if it's been with us for a very long time. I think the vitriol on either side, and there were probably 6 sides, are by small numbers of people. We tend to go on the internet, or if you're watching television, go to those stations that tell you how smart you are because you having these celebrities agree with you. That's what we do. It's an echo chamber. It reinforces itself. And I think it's a mistake when you only have one perspective. I don't know how that's going to get fixed.
Next year will mark 30 years since you launched the show, Judge Judy.
Yes.
I am curious, is there a road not taken for Judge Judy? Had you not ever donned the black robe, is there some other dream you had?
Well, when I was 6, I wanted to be a ballerina. And my father told me that I should sue the city because they created the streets in New York City too close to my behind. You needed longer legs to be a ballerina, is what he was telling me. I wanted to be, at some point in my life, a veterinarian. I love dogs. And then the same father explained to me that it all sounds very cute. You can touch puppies and you can play with them, but you also then have to take a dog's temperature. So I gave up that profession. And then as I got older, he said, you know, you have a gift of language. Why don't you think about going to law school? I fell into the family court through a friend, and I was very fortunate to find the right home. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes serendipity happens. I was lucky.
We are all very fortunate that you found the right home. Judge Judy, we thank you.
Thank you, Linsey. It
so
was
much
lovely.
for all you do.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Justice on Trial is now streaming on Prime Video. And that is our show for this hour. I'm Linsey Davis. Be sure to stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. Thanks so much for streaming with us.